you represent a student who graduated from a school in Syracuse? Have a seat. How many of you should sit? Only this half of the room should sit. You graduated from a school in Syracuse? Those of you standing dropped out. Now you can sit down. That's my problem. That's the problem I try to work on and that my colleagues in the School of Ed try to work on. It's not just a problem in Syracuse, it's a national one. It's a problem of access and a problem of opportunity. It's a problem of wealth. 40% of the prediction of a student's score on the SAT can be made by the amount of money their parents made. We don't think of it that way. We think of an SAT score as a statement of a student's learning, as a statement of their success. 40% of it is more linked to how much money you had growing up. That's a frightening statement about opportunity. My friend Charles Payne at the University of Chicago wrote this great book called So Much Reform, So Little Change, and helps us understand that there's lots of people who think they know the solutions to how we need to fix public education. But very few of them think that the people who have those solutions are actually the people doing the work. And so what I try to do with my colleagues is figure out how to run small tests of small changes. We're not after trying to reform the system. Instead, we're trying to figure out how to improve it child by child, day by day. And this is how we do it. So if we imagine educational improvement as being this really big iceberg, then the educational improvement we can see is the stuff at the top, which really broadly speaking is more learning and happier and healthier communities. Okay? We know unequivocally, despite what they say in Congress, that we have lots of evidence all across our country that high quality preschool education makes a big difference in outcome. Okay? Not necessarily Head Start, but high quality preschool education makes a big difference in outcome, and that means happier and healthier communities. Okay? So there are 3 important factors that I care about and work on, and that I'd like any of you who think you have some innovative ideas for education to remember. One is the new standards. New standards came out in science, my particular area of interest, last week. They're a pretty big deal, okay? And this would seem really odd in a school of business, but I think if we really want to make these standards work, we have to tear them apart from teacher evaluation, and we have to tear them apart from standardized testing. If we did so, these standards would become the bedrock for developing shared understandings of what kids ought to know. They would actually help us get better at doing the work of teaching, which, even if you look on the faculty profiles when faculty go up for tenure, at least the version from like 1998, even our own university makes the claim that we don't know what good teaching looks like. I beg to differ. Standards would also provide a pathway for communicating across these boundaries that are typically set up by us and difficult to cross. This is a draft of the new science standards, and I want you to notice there's a K at the top. That yes, crazy people like me believe that kindergartners can actually begin to understand the structure and property of matter. And that if they did, we'd be better off. That's a radical notion right now. Do you know how many days of school a kindergartner gets to learn science in the United States? Anybody want to guess? 0. Bingo. How many days in a school year does a first grader get to learn science in the United States? 0. That's right. National data tells us that 5th graders get an opportunity to learn science 11% of their school day. 11 is a lot better than 0. But they've also documented that 5th graders in America spend 18% of their time every day doing nothing. now living doesn't look so good. Okay? So structured properties matter in kindergarten is a really radical notion for us. The other thing, we need are really high quality instructional materials. And the good news is we've got some. Do you know where they are? I found some at local elementary schools in the gym. I found some in the janitor's closet. We need these instructional materials accessible to teachers, we need them usable, and we need teachers to have a say in how to change and make them better. The other thing we need is time. School teachers are hired in the public schools to work for 184 days a year. They're paid for 35 hours a week. And they're with children of that 35 hours, approximately 29 hours of that time. So what are they going to learn? And what are they going to plan? You want to know why Japan's kicking our butt? Because for every hour a Japanese elementary teacher has to work with a child, they get 90 minutes to plan that hour. Here in the United States, our teachers teach kids for 5.5 hours a day, and they get 30 minutes to plan that 5.5 hours. No wonder we're behind. So, one of the reasons we need time is because we need teachers to do these things. And we need them to do them together. And then we need to listen to what they have to say. That process is something that I engage in with teachers here locally. And it's a process called lesson study. A year ago, we actually publicly taught a lesson to children in a space very much like this, with 190 adults in attendance. Opening our doors, making our practices public, and talking about them is the road to getting better at teaching.